So I wanted to show you some of the sort of activist spamming that I've been doing because I think the Stephen Greer material can spread faster if young people especially start emailing and tweeting and using their computers and their cell phones and their social media to spread this stuff um, into the circles of power. That's really who needs to get this information, and they need to know that the public is aware of all this, and the Congress has done nothing about free energy. So they need to hear from the public. So here's a typical tweet that that I put together. Okay, I'll show you what's in it. It's addressed to the Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. So the first section of it, there's a website called free-energy-info.com, and it lists a whole pile of free energy prototypes. And I got this off of Brian O'Leary's website. So most of these prototypes have been vetted, okay? And so that's number one. And then second, I go to Stephen Greer, one of his little videos, a little 5-minute one about the physicist in the secret underground facility who independently discovered transdimensional physics. And he launched something in 1974 called Transdimensional Technologies, and then he was forcibly co-opted by the classified agencies. And then the third YouTube I put on there is by Thomas Bearden. Okay, and it's the YouTube where Thomas Bearden talks about how all of the equations were doctored up, and our educational system has been teaching kind of a doctored up physics so that free energy is impossible. I mean, the students don't realize that it exists, and they have this perpetual motion machine mythology absolutely inculcated into them. And it has been a magnificent job by the intelligence community of infiltration and information warfare, and they have duped the smartest people in the world for 50 years. Okay, then after that, I put in a little one of my own videos, one of my own little snippets there, and it's probably the one where I'm talking about how academia, after the physics, get through arguing about this, academia has to take a leadership role in the disclosure movement, our relationship with the extraterrestrials, and free energy and all the advanced transdimensional physics. And so maybe Stephen Greer could be invited to address the faculty at one of our major universities with the faculty in attendance. And then I might put in a video by Brian O'Leary. This is a good man. He was one of the early proponents of the face on Mars and the free energy stuff, and he was completely rejected and vilified by established academia, and he really had to be a brave man to come out and start that movement. And of course, he was killed. In my opinion, he was remotely targeted with the disease frequencies, the scalar disease frequency package that Thomas Bearden talks about, that advanced physics. You should go to Thomas Bearden's website, cheniere.org. There's a lot of stuff there. And then maybe I would throw in something by Eugene Maloff, one of his talks about the obfuscation and deliberate fraud surrounding cold fusion and a lot of the other free energy stuff. So who do I send these emails and tweets to? Well, right now I'm concentrating on venture capital firms. So Morgenthaler Venture Capital, Avalon Ventures Venture Capital, Delta VC Venture Capital, Black Coral Cap, Crosslink Capital, and because, as Thomas Bearden said, when venture capital latches on to this free energy and starts funding laboratories, all of the scientists are going to come out of the woodwork and jump on the bandwagon, because that's where the money and the funding is going to be, because government won't fund this. This has been a huge failure and a deliberate one by our own government. And then I've also been sending some of these sort of activist Twitters to a class of investor on Wall Street called an activist investor. Because what they do is buy up a big chunk of stock, and then they try to tell the company what to do. So if an activist investor knew that General Electric was holding free energy patents, they could go buy up a big chunk of the stock, and maybe they could even get funding from WeFunder or something like that. And they could force General Electric to bring their free energy patents out of the black shelf and bring it out and use it. If they have a board seat, they can make things happen. So send some of your tweets and emails to the big trading firms on Wall Street. Another group to target are the short traders, the ones who bet against stocks. If they know that everyone in the public knows about free energy, then they're going to start shorting the oil companies, because they'll know that oil isn't going to be worth anything when all the free energy patents start coming out and the prototypes get developed by the venture capitalists. So bombard Wall Street with this information, because the government isn't doing anything. So you have to go to the money men,